Hello and welcome to the Pop Guide. I'm your host Zoe Voulgaris, and today we're going to be covering all things pop culture, from new music, new movies, new TV shows, celebrity drama, and more. We've got you covered. So for the first thing I wanted to talk about, probably the most breaking news right now, and also happens to be my favorite celebrity, Taylor Swift's engagement. Now, this is, honestly, I feel like everyone's heard about this. I feel like whenever Taylor does anything, it's just on every single news. Like, ESPN was posting about this, literally every news outlet was posting about this, and her and Travis Kelce, I feel like I've always defended their relationship, and not a lot of people love it. People are kind of like, what do they talk about? Like, Taylor, I feel like, and Travis are just such different people, but I feel like they work together really well. So we got a closer look on their relationship because Taylor went on Travis Kelce's podcast, New Heights, that he hosts with his brother Jason Kelce. And on the podcast, you could really see the relationship dynamic, and I feel like they aren't that private. Like, you see a lot of photos of them out together in public, but they don't really do interviews together. So that was the first time we really saw them interacting and talking to each other. And honestly, they just seemed like a normal couple. Like, they seemed like they really loved each other. And I feel like since that came out right before their engagement, their relationship was a lot more hyped up, and everyone was like, oh, they seem to be really loving each other, really caring about each other. So I think that they've kind of been having their moment recently, and I'm really excited for the wedding. I am wondering, a lot of people are wondering if it's going to be such a big celebrity wedding or if they're going to keep it very private. I could kind of see them going either way. And the actual engagement was set up, so it was in a garden, and it looked really similar to when Taylor did a photo shoot for one of her albums called Lover. So people were saying, I wonder if that was intentional on Travis's part to make it look like that photo shoot. And her ring, the first thing I thought of when I saw the ring was her Bejeweled music videos, which was one of her music videos, and I just felt like it was perfect for her style. I think that it was very Taylor ring. I could never really see her having a normal engagement ring, almost just like a diamond and a silver band. I definitely think that he did a great job with the ring. And also, his dad went on a podcast and was talking a bit about the engagement and said that Travis was planning it and wanted to make it really big, but he actually said that Taylor was getting a little antsy, so that's why Travis did it. The week that he did it, he kind of sped it up, and he was like, you don't need to make it some big extravagant thing. You guys both love each other. Any engagement would be beautiful. So yeah, that's ultimately what happened. They had beautiful engagement in a garden. They posted, I saw the post 3 minutes after she did it and was driving, and he literally was pulling over. This is big news. So yeah, I am very excited for their wedding, and I think that Travis killed it with the proposal. So congrats to the happy couple. And also on the couple, like I said, she went on their podcast a couple of weeks ago, and Taylor has never been on a podcast before. That was her podcast debut. She used to do a lot more talk shows. She was definitely on Jimmy Fallon. She definitely did a lot of talk shows, especially when her Midnights album was released. But then she became very private when she did the Eras tour. She really never went on any talk shows, no interviews. Everyone was kind of like, where is Taylor? So this podcast was such a new insight to her life, and very obviously it was such a casual setting because it's her now fiance and her going to be brother-in-law. So she was very real on the podcast. They were asking some good questions, and yeah, we got to see a lot of her life outside of tour, and she talked a lot about rebuying her music. And yeah, it just seemed like it was such a new side of Taylor that we saw. So one of the most notable parts from the podcast, I would say, was her talking about her buying back her music. And the story and how she told it was just so heartwarming. So basically, when Taylor was younger and she had a lot of her iconic albums, she had 1989, her debut album, her album Red with all her hits on it, 22, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together. All of those albums she technically didn't own the masters to. So then what she wound up doing was now that she's older, re-recording all the albums with a new record label. So now she owns all the quote unquote Taylor's versions of the album. But she, saved up a lot of money, and she said that it was always a goal of her to buy back her music, and recently she did buy back her music. So she was talking about how it all went down, and then she talked about how when she told Travis, they both started crying. So here's a clip of that.
I knock on the door, he's playing video games, and I'm trying to say it in a normal way, and I'm just like, Travis!
I'm like, oh no, what just happened? What just happened?
And he puts his headset down. He's like, guys, gotta go. And I think you thought something was wrong. And you come up and I'm just like, I got all my music back. And then just start absolutely heaving.
Just dead
crying.
weight. Just dead weight. Losing all control.
Had no power in my legs to support myself. And yeah, this changed my life.
And I, like, that specific moment really made a lot of people like, oh my God, their relationship is just so adorable. Like, he was so happy for her. And yeah, that was honestly such a great part of the podcast because everyone knows like how important that is to Taylor. So her talking about that was really nice. And yeah, his reaction to it was so nice. So another really notable part of the podcast was her talking about her life away from the Eras Tour. So the Eras Tour, everyone knows, I think it's the highest grossing tour in history. And she performed 149 shows. It lasted almost 2 years long, the entire tour. It was whole worldwide. She went to so many countries. Each show was over 3 hours long. And she said that it not only had like such a physical impact on her, like performing 149 3-hour shows, like that was obviously a lot on her body. She also talked about how it honestly took up a lot of her like mental time. She said that she, like when she wasn't actually on the stage, she was just planning for the next tour, planning the acoustic mashups for the next night, like figuring out how to say welcome to the Eras Tour in a different language depending on what country she was going to. And she just said that the whole entire, like almost those 2 years, it was just all about the tour. So she said now that she's away from that tour, she's like having new hobbies, she has more free time. And one of the hobbies she specifically said was sourdough making, like literally making sourdough bread. And when I was first watching the podcast, I was like, oh, what like a fun hobby. Like that's so, you know, sweet, normal hobby. People like to bake. But then so many people were speculating that this was hinting at a possible Super Bowl performance for this upcoming Super Bowl. Now you might be thinking, like, how does sourdough bread have anything to do with the Super Bowl? Well, in the Swiftie community, there are many Easter eggs, it's what Taylor does when she like hints at an album or hints at a collab or hints at something way before with like these really random little Easter eggs. Like for example, in one of her music videos, there was like an elevator pad with like all the numbers, and each corresponding number like was an album color. So people were kind of predicting what re-record she was going to do next or what album color she was going to do next based on the elevator screen, which was like considered an Easter egg. So people are thinking that the sourdough bread is an Easter egg, and she dropped a lot of hints on the podcast that could hint at the Super Bowl performance. So basically, she said the number 47 2 times on the podcast, and like with Taylor, everything is very specific with numbers. So people did a little digging and found out that the 47th show of the Eras Tour was at Levi's Stadium, which happens to be what the Super Bowl this upcoming year, that's where the stadium is going to be at. So people are like, that's kind of pretty big hint. She said 47 2 times, 47th stadium, kind of matches up. And then also the Levi Stadium is in San Francisco, and the San Francisco team is the 49ers, and their mascot is Sourdough Sam. So people are like, maybe the sourdough has a little correlation with that too. And she also said that she's thinking about sourdough bread 60% of the time. And then the 60th Super Bowl is this upcoming one. So like she's thinking about it 60% of the time. It's the 47th, she said 47 2 times, thinking of sourdough bread. People are thinking that she's going to be performing at this upcoming Super Bowl as the halftime performer. Now, this could be a stretch, of course, but I mean, I feel like all signs are pointing towards San Francisco, but we'll have to see. I mean, it would be really funny if she like performed at the halftime show and the Chiefs didn't make it and like Travis wasn't there, but we'll have to see. And she also has said in the past that she would never perform at a halftime show unless she owns back all of her old music, because she has so many old hits that like she would have to play. So now that she's going to be her first Super Bowl where she owns back all of her music, so we'll have to see what happens. And last Taylor talk, she of course is coming out with a new album October 3rd. Everyone is very excited. She has really been having a crazy past month. I mean, album announcement, podcast debut, engagement. Taylor is really thriving right now. But yeah, she's coming out with a new album, The Life of a Showgirl, and she's finally working with a new producer. So her past couple of albums, she worked with a producer, Jack Antonoff. And I personally love Jack. I think everything they do together is golden. Like, I loved her last album, but people were kind of getting upset that she kept working with the same producer because some of the stuff was kind of starting to sound the same, which I could understand. And now she, on her next album, The Life of a Showgirl, she's working with Max Martin, who did her 1989 album and a lot of Reputation songs. And he's worked with so many like really major pop artists like Ariana Grande, Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys. He's done a lot in like the very upbeat, fun pop music category. So people are anticipating this next album to be kind of like a 1989-esque album. Also on the album, Sabrina Carpenter is going to be a feature. She is in the title track of the album, The Life of a Showgirl. And yeah, I love their relationship. Like Sabrina is younger than Taylor. She's been like a lifelong fan of her. And then she opened at the Eras Tour and now they're like best friends. Now she's collabing on her album. So yeah, Sabrina definitely, and Taylor definitely is very happy about that relationship with Taylor. So Sabrina is also coming out with a new album very, very soon on August 29th, this Friday. I am very excited to hear. So Sabrina, she, more so than Taylor, I feel like is known for very like upbeat, fun, you know, songs, not really like the sad, deep cuts that you get from some of those female artists. Her stuff is way more danceable. I feel like her concert is very like lively, fun, you know, a lot of dancing, a lot of upbeat, fun pop. So I'm honestly expecting nothing less than that from her new album. I think that it's called Man's Best Friend, the new album. So there was a lot of controversy at first when she announced the album and the album cover. People were saying that some people were criticizing it that it set women back 50 years, that it like shows a man having like power over a woman, and they were kind of upset with Sabrina for having like that album cover and like pushing that message almost. But Sabrina's entire brand, like literally ever since she started, has almost been like poking fun at men in a way, especially with her newest single, Man Child. Like that song in and of itself is just kind of like asserting her power over men, I feel like. And even in her music videos, you see the story that she tells with them. There's like a continuous story in her music videos, and they're also kind of like criticizing male behavior. And I feel like a lot of the criticism on the album cover was not really like taking into account almost the irony and sarcasm that she had with it. So I'm looking forward to the actual release of the album because I feel like people will see almost like what angle she's going to take with it and realize that it's honestly not going to be setting women back 50 years. Like that's kind of a stretch in my opinion. I feel like her entire career has just been like being, you know, she's such like a powerful female singer, and I just feel like people will begin to realize that once her album is released. And I'm very excited for the music videos. I'm excited to see what she does on tour with these albums. She's still on tour, and she's definitely going to have to incorporate some of these songs from her new album into the tour, so that'll be very fun. You know, last year she had such success with Short and Sweet, with all of her hit singles, Espresso, Please, 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 and Man's Best Friend is already off to a great start with a song as big as Man Child's, you know, being the lead single. You know, that song is everywhere now. So I'm very excited for the next album. And yeah, another major pop girly just came out with her new album, Audrey Hobart. So this was her debut album. She is kind of like, I feel like she's up and coming. She's not, you know, established, you know, Olivia Rodrigo, Sabrina Carpenter yet, but I can definitely see her getting to that point. So she actually recently went on a podcast, on Jake Shane's podcast, who's like a very famous influencer. He has a lot of big guests on his show. So she just went on his podcast and was talking a lot about how she came up in her career and how she started writing. So actually, she is best friends with Gracie Abrams, who's obviously very established, you know, also best friends with Taylor Swift, kind of in that whole like Taylor, Sabrina, you know, that whole like family of pop. And she said that she literally started writing with Gracie like as just a fun thing to do with a friend. Like she would hop in her room and just, you know, write some songs with her. They said that she had so much fun doing it with her. They would really, really focus in, dial in on every single lyric, make sure that it was the best possible one they could come up with. And she said that it just started out as kind of a fun thing to do with her friend. And she really attributed like this album and now her career to Gracie's like inclusiveness of Audrey.
It was her who was like, hey, you know, you're good at this. Like, let me set you up with, let me introduce you to my publisher. Let me introduce you to my lawyer. And so she's entirely the reason that this has all happened.
Right.
And it was the most spellbinding
yeah.
experience. she brought me along. She was inclusive. She respected me from the jump. We have such a friendship, and to write songs with her was so easy because we know each other so well.
Yeah, Audrey was just really, really like thankful to Gracie for almost building up her career in a way. So then she said that Gracie went on tour and she was just kind of alone, and then she just started writing her own stuff. And she said that she loved writing her own stuff. She said that she loved, you know, putting her own stories into her work and taking a lot of time to write the songs that are really meaningful to her. So she came out with her first single, Sue Me, a couple months ago, and that was really, really big. Like, everyone was listening to that. It was all over social media, you know, all over the radio. It was everywhere. And then after that, now she just came out with her album, which is also such a success. And I think that I could definitely see her having a big career, almost kind of like Gracie, kind of like Sabrina. She seems, also on the podcast, she was like very funny, you know, very humble. I feel like she is kind of what people like in like a pop girl artist. So I could definitely see her taking off, and I'm excited to see where she goes next with her career because she is just starting, and yeah, I'm very excited for her future. Also, last topic of music, Ariana Grande posted just literally like 40 minutes ago that she is going on tour for 2026. Now, I am so excited. So we have a little bit of like an Ariana Grande music drought. You know, she was very focused on Wicked, you know, obviously, and part 2 is coming out this November. Ariana Grande really just had her moment this past year with Glinda. I mean, she was perfect in that role. And then she released Eternal Sunshine Deluxe a couple months back, and that obviously gained a lot of popularity. So she is like very back, I feel like. Because obviously she kind of went quiet for a while when she was filming Wicked, but now she's like so back, you know, music, all of this. And I love her Eternal Sunshine album. It's such a beautiful album. I feel like she sounds amazing, and I feel like it's one of her best albums for like her voice, like vocal wise. So I am so excited for her to perform this on a tour. So she's not going to many cities, mostly just like the major cities in North America and like California, of course, New York, Chicago. She's going to Montreal, London, and this is all going to be in June of 2026. And she's not doing stadiums, which kind of surprised me. Like in New York, she's going to like Barclays Center, and that's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like for Ariana Grande, she's like one of the most major pop artists of all time. So I'm really excited to see this tour and kind of what she does with it, how many songs she's gonna do, what's the set gonna look like, because she hasn't toured in so long, and like I'm just very excited to see what the set list is gonna be, you know, what song she's gonna play from Eternal Sunshine. And yeah, I am very much looking forward to it. Her live is just, I mean, her voice is, I feel like, one of the best right now, and I'm very excited to see her live. So, you know, those tickets, I think that the pre-sale is September 9th, and I just know that is going to be a war on Ticketmaster. Everyone is going to try to be grabbing these tickets. But yeah, I feel like she is definitely in her moment. I do want her to release new music, though. I need another album, and I don't mean to be greedy, but I really, really want another Ariana Grande album because her voice is just, like I said, it's incredible. So I'm looking forward to this tour, and I'm hopeful that she'll come out with some new music. Maybe after, you know, the whole Wicked press tour, and, you know, maybe after the tour she'll come out with something late 2026 after her tour. Now, also, Lady Gaga is on her tour right now. Speaking of tour, she's having the Mayhem Ball, and she has really, really great set lists. She has a lot of old songs, like of course she needs to perform Bad Romance, Poker Face, Just Dance. She's performing Judas as well. A lot of really, really iconic old songs mixed in with a lot of the great songs from Mayhem. So it's a great concert. I mean, Lady Gaga is an amazing performer. The videos of her performing and her dances and the set are just incredible. She was just at Madison Square Garden last weekend, and she is amazing. Very her, and that's what I think people love about Lady Gaga is that she's so authentically her, you know, even if it's her Coachella set or if it's a concert or if it's a Grammys performance, she literally just always sticks to her performance style, her costumes, her dances, and I think that her authenticity and, you know, it's just really making her have that lasting power that people just always have loved her for years now, literally decades. She has just been very big. And she's also randomly going to make an appearance on Wednesday, which is the Netflix hit show on about Wednesday Addams. So she's making a celebrity cameo. I wonder what character she's going to play. There's a lot of speculation about that. So Wednesday Part 2 is coming out, Season 2 Part 2 is coming out very soon on September 3rd. And there are a lot of unanswered questions from Part 1. You know, everyone, I feel like even though Wednesday is kind of like a kid mystery show in a way, it has just such like a broad appeal because I think people love Jenna Ortega. And also Netflix, you know, they know how to make a good show. Netflix is kind of random, I feel like, in a way. They don't have a lot of big movies, but like they randomly, I feel like, have all the biggest TV shows like Bridgerton, Stranger Things. Like Wednesday is really big now. I've seen criticism though because there was a trailer on Part 2 of Season 2, and basically one of like the most major plot lines in Part 1 was that Wednesday, like one of her superpowers is that she has psychic ability, and basically she lost it in Season 2 Part 1. So and she needs like a spirit guide to get it back. So the whole plot of like, or one of the major plots of Season 1 was that she needs a new spirit guide. And then in the Part 2 trailer, it just like completely gave away who it was gonna be. And everyone was kind of like, oh, this is kind of a major spoiler. Like this was what everyone was excited about to see in Part 2. But there's definitely still so many unanswered questions. The show, Season 2 came out like over 3 years, I feel like, after Season 1 came out. So everyone was very much so anticipating the drop, and yeah, it's a great season. I feel like it's pretty much living up to the hype that last season had. I feel like it's kind of, you know, staying the same even after all these years. I feel like people were just as excited to get back into it. Also with TV shows, this is very different style of TV shows. So CBS, they have reality TV competition show called Big Brother. So if you don't know what Big Brother is, basically 16 strangers go into a house together and they compete. It's a mix of, I feel like, physical strength and also, you know, you have to be smart and be strategic. They evict someone each week, and the goal is, of course, to get to the final two to then get voted to win. And then the grand prize is $750,000. So yeah, it's a really great show, and they're completely disconnected from the outside world. They have no phones, no access to the internet. They're just in their house for 100 days they're in the house for, which is honestly a pretty long time to be on the show for. One of the main guys, his name's Riley Jeffries. He's a bull rider from Oklahoma. He's like very, very country. He started liking another house guest named Catherine, and the relationship was kind of strange because basically Big Brother, they have cameras all around the house. They're mic'd up 24/7. So they do this thing called the live feed. So you can like tune into Paramount Plus, and any time of the day you can just watch the house guests interact completely unfiltered, 24/7. They have the footage up. So it was interesting because people that were watching the live feeds were noticing very big red flags in the relationship with Riley. And there were a lot of clips of Riley like kind of showing signs of abusive like behavior to Catherine. He was yelling at her at one point for having an attitude.
Hey, what's your attitude?
I'm not having an attitude, I promise. I promise, it's just my face.
No, it's your tone.
No, I do not have a problem with you at all.
Then sit down. What are you doing right now?
I felt like I was talking better if I leaned up.
He was telling her that he's going to marry her, and that like whether she likes it or not, he's gonna marry her and like be in love with her forever. And Catherine was kind of like, I've only known you for like a month. Like, what if I don't like you, or like what if you don't like me anymore?
I'm being with you outside of this, whether you like it or not. I don't care.
What if we break up in here?
We're not going to. Why would you even say that?
Because you might not like me.
You might not like me. I don't ever think about stuff like that. You need to stop thinking about stuff like that.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Want to what?
Break up in here.
No.
Why would you say that?
I don't know.
I'm gonna marry you after this.
Okay.
And it was getting very weird on the live feeds, and some active live feeds watchers were almost like calling for CBS and production to step in and either get Riley removed from the house or tell him to back off a little bit. So it was really interesting to see the difference between the live feed footage and how the cuts were made on the actual show that airs every week. The edit of their relationship was very different than on the live feed. So production definitely cut it to make it look like they were just, you know, a normal showmance. Nothing was really going on. Riley wasn't being like overbearing or anything. You know, Catherine was just as interested. And the edit was very interesting, and people were kind of getting upset with CBS for doing that. It was very interesting seeing the difference between those two. So Riley actually wound up getting evicted anyway a couple weeks ago. So people were very happy that he was finally out of the house. But all of the house guests and Riley himself thought that he was going to be like America's favorite, thought that all the viewers were going to love him, that he was going to be their favorite house guest. And that, of course, was not what happened. People wanted him out. So after he got evicted, one of the first things that CBS did was they pulled him into a room, reportedly, and they had a conversation with him about the backlash that he was facing. And he was reportedly in shock and did not even understand, like forgot some of the stuff that he said, was surprised that they caught all that on camera, which is kind of confusing to me because you know you're going to be like filmed 24/7. I don't know. But yeah, he was very, very surprised by that. And a lot of his post-eviction interviews got canceled because, I mean, I feel like no one really wanted to watch that. And I doubt that his team or that Riley himself would want to have these interviews. So yeah, it's very interesting to see how it all went down after eviction. And I'm excited to see how Catherine plays now that Riley's out of the house. I wonder if she'll play a little harder, or if she'll, you know, be a little less quiet now that she doesn't have like Riley on her hands. And yeah, people are pretty happy that he's out of the house now. So I'm interested to see if he comes back to like reunions, or if he's back with the rest of the cast, if they do like cast interviews with him. So yeah, and even a lot of the other evicted house guests were saying that they all thought that America loved Riley, and they were also too very shocked when they left the house and saw the feedback and comments that were happening. So with that, I feel like that is all the pop culture that I have for today. I hope that you got your recap in for the week, that you're in the know now, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Zoe, and goodbye.